Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Welcome to the weather map discussion for Friday, 2 September 2022. Taking a look at the image on tonight's title slide, showing you a cirrostratus cloud. These are high clouds composed of ice crystals, and when the sun or the moon, whenever that light refracts or bends, that light bends or refracts off these hexagonal six-sided ice crystals, you sometimes get the optical phenomenon known as a halo around the sun or moon. And whenever you see that halo around the sun or moon, that right there cues you to know that these are cirrostratus clouds. Typically form well above the Earth's surface, depending on what region you're in, the polar areas versus mid-latitudes versus the tropics. The higher clouds tend to be above 20,000 feet in the middle latitudes and tend to be a little bit lower in the polar latitudes. So let's get right to tonight's video, and I will get my laser out and we'll get to it. All right, so tonight, what are we looking at on the satellite, the enhanced infrared satellite image tonight? Our main focus areas are generally further to the south in the southern U.S., parts of Florida, as well as over parts of West Louisiana and southeast Texas, parts of northern Texas, and then western Texas. There is one particular colder cloud top across parts of south central Nebraska this evening. And there are some cooler cloud tops across parts of northwestern Arkansas, as well as into the St. Louis area, parts of southern Illinois. But in general, the main areas with the coldest cloud tops are indicated by these reddish, bright orange colors there across the northern Gulf Coast, the northern Gulf of Mexico, and then across parts of Texas this evening. What's going on the radar? If we compare the radar image to the actual satellite image, you'll note that we do have a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity across parts of Kansas. The Kansas-Nebraska border here. You see a little bit of a green area. You see a couple scattered showers and thunderstorms, fairly widely scattered though, across parts of Arizona and northern New Mexico. In addition, there are some scattered showers and thunderstorms across parts of central Texas, working their way northeastward into parts of Missouri, specifically central and southeastern Missouri, just across the Mississippi River into Illinois. In addition, we see some scattered showers and thunderstorms across eastern Texas, just north of the Houston area, as well as over parts of the Florida Peninsula and into Georgia this evening. Looking at the surface analysis for today, Friday, 2 September 2022, we do see a frontal boundary that extends generally from west central Montana southeastward into parts of Wyoming, as well as parts of Nebraska, extending northeastward into right around the Twin Cities area, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, Minnesota, northward into parts of east central Canada. Additionally, we see an area of low pressure that is located along the Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma area with a frontal boundary generally draped across the deep south, parts of Georgia, Alabama, down towards the Mobile and Biloxi area. We do see a high pressure. There's a 1026 millibar high pressure just situated off the coast of Maine this evening. And this area of high pressure is ridging towards the southwest, towards the mid-Atlantic states, producing dry weather. It's a dry weather evening. It's muggy, but it's dry across parts of Virginia as well as North Carolina. Looking at the forecast of the 300 millibar wind speeds, generally this is where the jet stream resides. For Saturday, 3 September 2022. So we're kicking off the Labor Day weekend. Generally, we have Saturday morning on the left and Saturday evening on the right. What we're looking at for tomorrow is we see a long wave trough that's moving into parts of Oregon. We do see a little bit of a wind speed maximum right around the base of that long wave trough. Wind speeds in excess of 64 knots over parts of southwestern Oregon and northern California, right on back northward, strong southerly winds at 300 millibars across central Oregon. we see this large upside down U shape, which is indicative of this is a strong closed high, upper level high located over parts of western Wyoming for tomorrow morning. And we see generally a long wave ridge in place, the ridge axis extending northward into parts of western Canada. Additionally, we see some of the higher wind speeds associated with the jet stream axis across parts of the Hudson Bay area, southeastward into parts of eastern Canada, as well as over towards Quebec province of Canada. Looking at the Saturday evening map, or the forecast for 300 millibar wind speeds on the right, showing that upper level ridge, that long wave ridge remaining in place across parts of Wyoming, extending northward into parts of eastern Montana, as well as part of the southern Manitoba province of Canada. Saskatchewan province of Canada right there. Additionally, we see some stronger wind speeds across southeastern Canada at 300 millibars once more. Looking at the 500 millibar wind heights and vorticity for 3 September 2022. And again, what we're looking at Saturday morning on the left and Saturday evening on the right. So what do we got going on here for tomorrow at the 500 millibar level? Okay, we do see on Saturday morning there is a large upper level high, generally extending across parts of the western United States, and that ridge axis, that shortwave ridge axis, extending northward into Saskatchewan province of Canada. Right on the west side of that ridge, we are seeing a little bit of a change in the pattern here with a shortwave trough rotating into parts of Washington State, the Seattle area, down to Portland, Oregon. So we have a big ridge, we have a trough along the immediate Pacific Northwest, and then Saturday morning we see more vorticity, positive vorticity values indicating rising air associated with a shortwave trough over Hudson Bay, extending southward into eastern Canada. Looking at Saturday evening, 500 millibar wind heights and vorticity forecast, that shortwave trough generally pivots or propagates towards the east throughout the day on Saturday, with positive vorticity values indicated by the orange and these lighter green colorings here across parts of eastern Washington State by Saturday evening. Additionally, the main jet axis remains well to the north. There is that shortwave ridge once again, which is slowly reorientating itself more towards parts of western North Dakota by Saturday evening, and then extending northward with that shortwave ridge axis up into parts of Saskatchewan province in Canada. Looking at the 700 millibar vertical velocity and heights for Saturday 3 September, Saturday morning is on the left and Saturday evening is on the right. We generally see a similar reflection here at 700 millibars. A shortwave trough is just positioned a little bit further to the west, just offshore the Pacific Northwest coast at 700 millibars. But we do see out ahead of that shortwave trough axis some positive vertical velocity values indicated by the green as well as the orange and yellow shadings here across eastern Washington State, eastern Oregon. And that's indicative of upward vertical motion or rising air. When you get rising air in the atmosphere, that usually equates to some sort of clouds and precipitation. Shortwave ridge on Saturday morning at 700 millibars is going to extend northward towards parts of, basically to the Saskatchewan province once more. And then additionally, we have another shortwave trough over southeastern Canada, generally with a trough axis extending back in a northeast to southwest manner across eastern Canada, and more of these positive vertical velocity values. Looks like some lift is occurring across parts of southeastern Canada by Saturday morning. Now also Saturday morning, take note, over the Mid-South, there are some positive vertical velocity values in parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri, western Tennessee, including the Memphis area, right on into Kentucky. Looking at Saturday evening here on the right, showing that ridge remaining fairly strong in central Canada by Saturday evening. Additionally, we see positive vertical velocity values across parts of the Ohio River Valley, from Kentucky right on into parts of Tennessee and down to Louisiana by Saturday evening. There will be a shortwave trough that is generally located, it moves off to the east over time, over the 12-hour period between Saturday morning and Saturday evening. That shortwave trough axis extending in a positively tilted manner across parts of southeastern Canada. Looking at the 850 millibar wind speed forecast for Saturday, 3 September 2022. Saturday morning, how are things looking? The wind energy, the maximum wind energy remains well up over eastern Canada, north of the U.S. border. There will be some pockets of higher wind speeds at 850 millibars or 5,000 feet above the ground, generally in association as this shortwave trough moves to the east, kicks up a little bit more of a gradient. We see higher wind speeds at 850 millibars in excess of 20 to 22 knots across parts of eastern Montana. Additionally, we see some pockets of higher wind speeds indicated by the green coloring across parts of southwestern Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, as well as parts of western Pennsylvania. Looking at the 850 millibar wind speed forecast for Saturday evening here on the right, generally showing the strongest wind speeds at 850 millibars or 5,000 feet above the ground are going to be located over central Canada as well as southeastern Canada for your Saturday. And note this little feature down here just off of Baja, that is actually a tropical cyclone. And notice how strong the winds are on the northern side at 850 millibars of that tropical cyclone. They are moving very quickly, blowing very strongly around the center of this tropical system, generally on the order of 42 to 50 knots at 5,000 feet above the ocean there off the coast of Baja. Looking at the surface wind forecast for Saturday, 3 September, Saturday morning on the left, Saturday morning on the right, generally showing you the strongest winds on Saturday morning remaining offshore of the California coast, as well as in association with this tropical cyclone off the west coast of Baja with the green coloring here. Generally across the United States as a whole, there are a couple of pockets of winds between 12 to 15 knots there across parts of eastern Montana. But overall, if you're driving anywhere for the Labor Day weekend tomorrow, looking good as far as the winds go. Now, by Saturday evening, you'll note that these winds pick up a little bit more across the parts of eastern Montana and the western Dakotas, where wind speeds will be in excess of 14 to 16 knots. Generally from the, it looks like it's coming in from the southeast, generally southeasterly wind component at this location. But the rest of the Midwest looks great, the Gulf Coast looks great, weaker gradients, as well as parts of New England. Now, what if you got some travel plans? You got some travel plans for Saturday, 3 September. Saturday morning here on the left, showing some scattered showers and thunderstorms along Interstate 10, along the Gulf Coast states, generally west of the Mississippi Gulf Coast into parts of southern Louisiana, as well as parts of southeastern Texas. There is a little bit of shower activity extending northwestward into Dallas, and then also across parts of the San Antonio area on Saturday morning. Generally, the strongest lift and the greatest dynamics remain well to the north of the United States across Hudson Bay and southeastern Canada. That's where you're going to find a fairly strong cold front that stretches across eastern Canada and some showers, some heavier showers developing. Out west, you got travel plans Saturday morning, completely dry. Nothing really going on out west, so the roadways will be dry. Saturday evening, the western U.S. remains dry. Interstate 5, Interstate 94, Interstate 15 in Southern California, Interstate 8, looking really good for the western United States. Interstate 80 through Colorado and Utah and Nevada to San Francisco looking great as well. Now, if you look at the eastern United States, it's a little bit more unsettled by Saturday evening. We see showers and thunderstorms across parts of northern Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, into parts of Tennessee, widely scattered showers and storms, as well as showers and storms across parts of southern Indiana, right on down into western Kentucky. And additionally, we have heavier showers and storms along the Gulf Coast once more on Saturday evening across Interstate 10, the Houston area, right on west towards San Antonio. Looking at the forecast high temperatures for Saturday, 3 September 2022, you'll notice we are cooling off a little bit with that shortwave trough moving ashore, that upper air disturbance, increasing the clouds and bringing some shower activity to the Pacific Northwest and the immediate coastline. So we are getting a much divided temperature regime across, for example, Washington State and Oregon, where generally if you're east of the mountains, your highs will remain in the upper 80s to low 90s, but west of the mountains towards Seattle, it's much more tolerable with high temperatures in the lower 70s for Saturday. Looking at the valleys of California, they continue to remain hot. Looking at the areas of LA and San Diego, LA expecting to have a high near 95, and then San Diego, a high near 90 tomorrow. Las Vegas, 107. Phoenix, 108. Additionally, eastern Montana remains above triple-digit heat, well above normal for early September across eastern Montana. Additionally, some hotter temperatures across the southern plains. In addition, along the Gulf Coast states, the Florida Peninsula. And there will be some warmer temperatures moving up the mid-Atlantic coast with low 90s for highs in areas like Charlotte tomorrow afternoon. Cooler temperatures across the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and the eastern Dakotas for tomorrow. Forecast low temperatures now for Saturday night into Sunday morning, the 4th of September. Oh, the signs of fall are coming. Blue coloring here indicating low temperatures into the 40s for parts of the Dakotas as well as Nebraska and Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. So some chillier air masses are starting to descend just a little bit across the U.S.-Canadian border there. Additionally, along the U.S. West Coast, Interstate 5 in Oregon up to Seattle, low temperatures by Sunday morning will also be in the upper 50s. If you're looking for warmer low temperatures, head south. Generally south of Interstate 40, across the deep south, low temperatures are generally going to be in the lower 70s. And then you can see a very distinct line here that stretches from just around Green Bay, Wisconsin, southwestward to Des Moines, right just south of the Omaha area. There's a very distinct line here, isn't there, between the blue shading, the purple shadings, and the yellow colors. So there is a little bit of a temperature discontinuity there. Warmer temperatures generally out ahead of this particular line of discontinuity. Chillier temperatures overnight lows also in New England for Sunday morning, with low temperatures dipping down into the low 50s for a good swath of New England. Now, let's take a look at the upper air extended forecast, a 500 millibar height anomaly forecast using the European Ensemble Prediction System, the EPS. We're going to take a look at Wednesday, the 7th of September, next Wednesday, and then we're going to take a look at next Friday, a week from today, the 9th of September. Anytime you see the orange coloring, that indicates above normal heights, with the blue coloring, that is below normal heights. So blue coloring and below normal heights indicate troughs, and those are associated with unsettled weather, some precipitation and cooler temperatures, whereas the orange coloring indicates ridges in the upper atmosphere, and those are associated with dry weather. So looking at the forecast for Wednesday morning, the 7th of September, we do see a little bit of troughing off the Pacific Northwest coast, and then downstream from that, we still see this upper level high over the desert southwest area. That ridge axis is going to extend into southeastern Canada by next Wednesday. So that's going to warm things up across portions of southeastern Canada. Generally on the right, what we have is the upper air forecast for Friday, the 9th of September. And notice now how the trough on this particular image, it tends to pivot to the east across parts of Montana and Idaho by Friday morning, the 9th of September. Meanwhile, there will be an upper-level ridge there across parts of Pennsylvania northwestward into central or eastern Canada by next Friday. Looking at the temperature anomaly extended forecast, showing the anomalies on the left here for Wednesday morning. Look at this. This is 15 to 20 degrees above normal as the heat continues next Wednesday morning for parts of California, Nevada, southeastern Oregon into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, western Colorado, and Utah. This area is going to be well above normal, 15 to 20 degrees above normal temperatures at this point. Cooler than normal temperatures will extend across parts of the upper Midwest, and then we do have a slight bit of warming across parts of the Mid-Atlantic. And there's a little bit of cooler below normal temperatures, slightly below normal across parts of Texas. By Friday, next Friday morning on the right, the 9th of September, your temperature forecast anomaly, notice what happens here. See how all this orange coloring, which is associated with above normal temps, is replaced by the blue coloring? We're going to see a trough, a major trough, develop and dig southward into parts of the western U.S., which is going to result in cooler than normal temperatures. Those very warm temperatures over Western Canada will be history by that point. That we have below normal temperatures extending southward from Western Canada into Montana and Idaho, Wyoming by next Friday. At least that's the forecast right now. and then you still see above normal temperatures across California. Additionally, we see above normal temperatures across the upper Midwest, the mid-Atlantic up to New England by next Friday. Slightly below normal temperatures for parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Missouri. Now let's take a look at the Noaa official 6 to 10 day outlook. The temperature outlook on the left. Now this period is 6 to 10 days out, goes all the way out to the 12th of September. So in general, what we're looking at is a change. Look at this. Remember how many times we were looking at the Pacific Northwest being having a high probability of being above normal? Now that's changed to below normal probabilities across parts of Montana, as well as Idaho, eastern Washington state, and even parts of eastern Oregon. Below normal temperatures also along the southern U.S. from Louisiana on into parts of western Texas, as well as parts of southern New Mexico and Arizona. And this is most likely going to be due to higher amounts of precipitation, increased clouds, which is going to limit the incoming solar radiation. Look at the higher probability above normal temperatures in the meantime for parts of New England through the 12th of September. Looking at the precipitation outlook on the right, below normal probability of precip across parts of the Pacific Northwest, and above normal chances for precipitation across parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and to the Asheville, North Carolina area, into parts of Blacksburg, Virginia, as well as parts of southern West Virginia. Now let's take a look at the latest tropical update for the North Atlantic. I have the European 10-meter wind speeds on the left here, and then I have the GFS surface pressure thickness chart on the right. So just what I'm really pointing out here now, both of these charts are for Wednesday, the 7th of September, Wednesday morning, next Wednesday, the 7th of September. Things are definitely getting more active across the North Atlantic Ocean basin as far as tropical activity. But I will say there's no imminent threats to the United States. The European model has a particular tropical disturbance located north of Hispaniola by Wednesday morning. It also has a much more intense system across parts of the far northern latitudes by this point. Additionally, the GFS model showing multiple disturbances. This one is really wound up pretty good. It could very well still be a hurricane transitioning to an extratropical cyclone as it gains latitude. This particular system is expected to develop a new tropical cyclone as well, but then both of these systems are generally staying well offshore of the U.S. East Coast. And then finally for tonight's video, looking at the local Hampton Roads, Virginia 7-day forecast. Looking good for Labor Day weekend. Partly sunny skies. It will still be pretty warm as we go into the first week of September. Highs in the middle to upper 80s with overnight lows between 70 and 72 for your Labor Day weekend. Now by Tuesday, we'll have a frontal system dropping down from the north, and so that's going to increase the scattered thunderstorm probabilities by Tuesday with a high of 84, and then after a brief period of dry weather with partly sunny skies next week, midweek, with a high of 82, we're going to have more unsettled weather towards the end of next week, the late part of next week, as another frontal boundary, another cold front drops in, and an upper level trough kind of digs in to the area, with highs generally in the low to mid 80s and overnight lows near 70. All right, that wraps things up tonight on the weather map discussion video for Friday, 2 September 2022. Hopefully, this is very informative and helpful for you in your planning for the upcoming Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody has a great time, no matter what you have planned. And until next time, everybody take care and God bless.